Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm joined today by Wang Wen, professor and dean of Chongyang Institute for Financial Studies at Renmin University of China. And you also are the deputy dean of the Silk Road School, as well as multiple other positions. So I'm not sure how you're managing to juggle it all. So well done. And of course, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Dinson. Long time no see. I'm so honored to join your program.
Thank you. Well, the topic I wanted to discuss with you, of course, was the rise of China, which is I guess what shapes the international system at the moment. And I thought we could start with a quote which came about 2 years ago when Xi Jinping told Vladimir Putin that right now there are changes. The likes of which we have not seen for 100 years, and we are the ones driving these changes together. So again, this caught the attention of many. But how do you understand this transformative era we are living in, given that there are huge changes, and obviously China is front and center?
Mhm. In fact, that was not the first time that President Xi talked about the so-called century change, or in Chinese language, is that the great changes have not happened in hundreds of years. So this is actually, if we review the history of this term, at the end of the 2017, President Xi Jinping made a speech at a working meeting to receive foreign envoys and proposed the concept of so-called 百年变局, or great changes uh, have not happened in hundreds of years for the first time. And since then, so-called the century change, or 百年变局, or great changes have not happened in hundreds of years. Now has become the most classic judgment of the current situation by the China decision maker. So, as you mentioned, actually, in China, in the past 5 or 7 years, there are at least thousands of papers on explain what is centuries change is. And actually, in 2020, I, with my colleague, published a book. The book's title called "Unprecedented Change of Centuries," which later became a bestseller in China. And I also wrote an academic paper on unprecedented changes of century, which caused a great response and uh, recitation in Chinese academic community, and become one of the most typical representatives work on this topic. And my understanding of this unprecedented change of century is different from that of many people. I not completely focus on a century, just a century of change, because we measure centuries. So how many centuries? Because according to the meaning of the Chinese language, President Xi only emphasized century and did not emphasize how many century it is worth. So in my opinion, there are at least five levels or five concepts of century changes. So the first is that a great change that has not happened in 500 years. Uh, that's the first level. That is since the rise of the West in the age of exploration in the 16th century, Western civilization now has experienced an unprecedented decline in the past 500 years. And the second level is that the great change that has not happened in 400 years, that is the unprecedented great change brought by the AI evolution, seeing the mechanical revolution in the 17th century. Because as we all know, seeing the 17th century, there happened the three scientific and technological revolution, that is the mechanization, electrification, and computerization, right? And these three round of technological revolution are all liberating human leaps of five senses. But this time, the AI revolution is liberating our brains. So this huge change is something that humans have never encountered in the past 400 years. And the third level is that the great change that has not happened in 300 years. That is, since the 18th century, the democratic political system established in the West now has entered an unprecedented decline, in my opinion. Democracy is a good thing, of course. Democracy is a good word. But the problem is, democracy once represented advancement, but now the Western, especially in United States, I mean, a U.S. Style democratic political system now is a little bit outdated. So the world need an upgrade and revolutionary of political system. And the fourth level is a great change that has not happened in 200 years. That is, since the 19th century, the academic division system of university established in the West now has encountered a huge crisis. We both of us work in the university. We are very obvious know that nowadays the major division, for example, economics, cannot explain very well economic phenomena, and political science cannot explain political phenomena very well, and sociology cannot explain social phenomena very well, and so on. So I think, in my opinion, the entire social science is facing an unprecedented reshaping of knowledge. And final things, the fifth and the last one is a great change that has not happened in 100 years. That is the international system. Because the international system 100 years ago, the international system centered the North Atlantic as a power center since the early of the 20th century. But now the international system, I mean the power system, the center of power system, transferring to the West Pacific as a center. So I think this is a five level. To put it simply, that is the civilization change that has not happened in 500 years, the technological change that has not happened in 400 years, the institutional change that has not happened in 300 years, and the knowledge change of university that has not happened in 200 years, and the power change that has not happened in 100 years. So this is my systematic understanding of the current complex system. And of course, I think, as you mentioned, some people, they often explain that so-called unprecedented change of century is just regarded as decline the West or the decline of the United States. I think this is only a part of the phenomena. I still need. I think we need to look at this major change of 100 years from a more complex perspectives, because it's a very complicated international evolution now. Not only the power structure among the big powers, including the decline of the United States, but also in technological level, in knowledge level, in institutional level, and in civilization level. So I think President Xi mentioned this term. Now in China, it's a very popular, it's very important. So I think if you want to understand what China decision-making thinking now, I think you can start this term.
Yeah, I think it's important to have that wider view, because often it's, we focus on the trade war between China and the US, seeing which country is more, is the Chinese replacing the US as leading economy, but it becomes very narrow if you don't look at the past 500 years in terms of who's connecting the world, the financial connections, and as you said, the technologies as well. We had industrial revolutions in the past, but of course, automating the cognitive is also something very different.
Yes.
Anyways, yeah, I wanted to move this along a bit as well to the more specifics then of China, because given all of these huge changes taking place, how does this translate into foreign policy objectives and priorities? What is it that China is trying to drive forward? Because again, this is very, very all these changes happening at once is very disruptive, and it's, I guess, also in China's interest to ensure that this disruption are done in an orderly, peaceful manner. So, what is it what are the objectives of China, I guess?
Mm. Well, I think this is a very, very important question to understand the current China situation. But I have to say that China, as you mentioned, China's main goal or China's foreign policy target has never changed, which is to achieve the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. So why I talk about this, I think if you understand China's history over the past 100 years, it will be easy to find how strong the Chinese people desire for national rejuvenation. Because since the Opium War in 1840, almost maybe I don't know whether you know, almost all Western powers have invaded China at that time. I mean, since the Opium War in 1840, including the United States, Britain, or United States, Britain, France, Germany, Italy, and even Austria, even India invade China. I mean, the end of the 19th century. And in the 20th century, Japan invaded China. And from 1931 to 1945, the 14 years, China's anti-Japan war paid a price of more than 30 million casualty. And in Nanjing, in December 1937, the Japanese invaders massacred 300,000 Chinese in just 6 weeks. So now, recording this period of time, it is simply unbelievable. Unbelievable for all Chinese people. It's a very bad memory. It's very, very bad memory. And always since every Chinese people, since we are childhood, we are in the primary school, the teacher told us, every Chinese people, they said, the history has told the Chinese that backwardness would be beaten. If you are very weak, you will be beaten. So you have to become a strong nation. So I think the strong country is a basic guarantee for national security and development. Look at Palestine now. Look at Afghanistan. Look at Iraq 20 years ago, or Libya 15 years ago. So many negative lessons teach every year, every month, every day to Chinese people. So that's why we remembered in 1949, the Chairman Mao Zedong said on the Tiananmen, the Chinese people have stood up since then. So I think these sentences, every our national days, the TV, will be broadcast the Chairman Mao's voice. So in the past 76 years, China has been working hard for national rejuvenation. So now China has become the world's second largest economy and has not give up this dream. We will continue this dream of national rejuvenation. But on the other hand, China does not want to become a nation of revenge. And as you mentioned, and also China does not want to repeat the old story of a strong country must be hegemonic, or the strong bullying the weak. We don't want to repeat this. some people in China, or no, I mean some people in the world, especially some people in the West, they always think that China would invade other countries when China becomes stronger. So I think that is because they judge others by their own standard, which is reflection their own dark history, because they used to do this, so they think China would do the same in the future. So, so we often say that you look at the past 76 years, during the Mao Zedong period, China solved the problem of being beaten. And during the Deng Xiaoping period, in the 1980s, China solved the problem of being stuffed. So now, in the President Xi Jinping's period, we have to solve the problem of being scolded. So that is to gain more respect from the world. So that's why in the past 10 years, China, in the past 10 plus years, China has proposed the Belt and Road Initiative, the Global Development Initiative, the Global Security Initiative, and the Global Civilization Initiative. And also, we want to promote the construction of community of shared future of mankind, hoping to make a strong China more respected. And from this point, so I think nowadays, as you mentioned, the current priority of Chinese foreign policy is to how to make great contribution to the future world through a series of cooperation and struggle, gain more respect from the world, and then achieve national rejuvenation. And I think this process is not easy. Some countries do not understand China's diplomatic philosophy and even want to contain China. I think that at this time, China can only be forced to fight back with them. So, but the problem is that, as I mentioned, struggle is just a methodology, and cooperation is our final target, is our goal. So that's why we can see that over the years, China has fight against some Western political forces, and including the U.S. government nowadays. But China do not avoid cooperating with all countries, including the United States government. If, for example, if Trump want to cooperate with us, we can cooperate with him. But if Trump want to continue to contain to us, we have to fight back. So I think this is China's priority. That is to push the sustainable behavior and sustainable working hard for our national rejuvenation.
I think it's important what you noted with how the defeat and destruction of China in the mid-19th century impacted the national consciousness and still its development models. What is interesting though is China, this happened at the same time with both Russia and China, actually. If you look at the mid-19th century, this is when the British and French invaded Crimea in the Crimean War in 1853, and also it had immense impact because that's also when they realized they had to industrialize because they saw the cost of weakness. And of course, this is around the same time of the Opium Wars against China as well. But given that it seems now that the main strategic partnership which contributes to shaping this new international system is the Chinese-Russian one. So what do you see as being in the nature of the China-Russia partnership, and what's the foundation of its sustainability and strength?
Yeah, I think this is a very popular question in the international public media. I think some Western media often believe that China-Russia relationship is a relationship of allies. I think this is a kind of poverty of international relation theory knowledge. In their view, the relationship between countries is simply understood as allies or opponents and enemies. In fact, the China-Russia relationship far exceeds the knowledge scope of Western international relation theory. Actually, as we all know, in China diplomatic discourse, China-Russia relationship is a relationship of good friends, good partners, and good neighbors, and not engaging in small circles. The previous good relationship are all understandable, but the Western international relations theory cannot understand the relationship of not engaging small circles. What does that mean? I think that not engaging in small circles means that you don't want to treat anyone as an imaginary enemy and pull out your own alliance system. And China-Russia cooperation is more for themselves and for a better common development. And this has birthed the perceptual accumulation and rational choice. I don't know whether you know maybe a lot of people they cannot mention or notice that China and Russia have a border of more than 4,000 kilometers. Because now, since 20 years ago or 15 years ago, there are no any troops stationed on the border now, which saves a lot of military expenditure for both countries. But on the other hand, if China and Russia ally against another country, then the world will repeat the Cold War or even the mistakes of the World War. So I think China-Russia relationship are a new paradigm of relationship between big powers. That is an innovation that exists the practice of Western international relations since 17th century. Of course, some people say that China support Russia invasion of Ukraine. In my opinion, that is nonsense. You cannot regard normal and legal trade between the two sovereign power as China's support for Russia special military operation. If you look at the database, in the past 3 years, bilateral trade between China and Ukraine has grown by more than 20% annually. Why do not those people say China support Ukraine? So this is very interesting. So from this point, I think in order for some people to understand China-Russia relationship more comprehensively, they need to gain more knowledge and wisdom. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned earlier the American efforts to crash the Chinese economy, and that China might have to fight back. And which takes me to my last question, which is the U.S. efforts to prevent the rise of China, which they're very open about. I think in the past it was always concealed as just sanctions against human rights violations, but now there's more honesty now. They're saying, well, we have to stop the rise of China, so let's find a way of throwing a wrench into the system. But they mainly go after the Chinese tech sector, lesser extent the finance, but also possibly in the future disrupting the sea lanes, which is why the transportation corridors, which is why China is always worried about these two island chains. Now, what is going on in the trade war, though? Do you see is China able to respond, adjust to these challenges, and does it push back or retaliate in any way? Sorry, it's a very long question.
No, Professor Dinson, I know you are professional for the international study. You know everything, but I just give you my angle as a Chinese scholar. In fact, the United States now is focusing on using technological skill and finance to contain China, which in itself reflects the decline of the United States. Why I talk about it? Because the fact that the US does not dare to use military means or start a war to contain China, that proves the strength of the China security defense. So this is an important reason why I remain confident in this round of trade war. As far as the trade war, I wrote 2 articles with extensive international influence as early as the beginning of this year. One is why the United States cannot win the trade war with China, and the other is thank Trump, make China great again. And the late articles was reprinted by media in nearly 20 countries. And the current progress confirms my judgment because it has been 7 years since the Trump 1.0 launched the first trade war and technological war against China in 2018. And Trump has lost the last round of trade war and the technology war against China. He neither decoupled China-US trade relationship, none reduced China's surplus with the US, none even defeated Huawei. On the contrary, the total trade value between China and United States remain above $650 billion per year in the past 7 years, higher than in 2018. And China's surplus with the United States remain at around $400 billion, also higher than in 2018. And Huawei now is much stronger than it was in 2018. So that proves that Trump was defeated in the past 7 years. And this term, China come to power again in this year, and the trade war and technology war against China was more intense. But this old approach was definitely failed. The most important reason lie in the China's strong manufacturing industry. At present, China industrial output value is twice that of the United States, accounting for 30% of the world industrial output value. About half of the products imported by the United States from China cannot find better alternatives. From this point, the US needs China products more, not China needs the American market more. So that's why I think we have the full confidence on this trade war. But of course, I admit the trade war definitely put external pressure on China. But the Chinese are very united now. We will never give up because China has many ways to solve the export problem. On the one hand, China is looking for more international markets, such as ASEAN, Latin America, Africa, the Middle East, Russia, Central Asia, etc. And on the other hand, as you may know, China is increasing the stimulation of domestic consumption. I can do a math for you. Now the average Chinese saving per capita is 110,000 yuan, equal to 14,000 US dollars. You know, every Chinese people their savings. China annual exports to the United States are about how much? Let me think. China's annual exports to the United States are about maybe 500 US billion US dollars, 500 billion. So this means that if the 1.4 billion Chinese people spend an extra 350 US dollars per capita, they can fully absorb the product produced in the United States. From this point, China is very resilient, and the Chinese are very united in this trade war. And in the contrast, the external contradiction of the U.S. are huge, and the political struggle is very firm in the United States. So therefore, my conclusion will not change. The U.S. will definitely lose the trade war again, and the future, I think, will definitely prove my judgment. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it does look as if China is able to diversify away from this, but I would have loved to pick your brain about BRICS, but we ran out of time, so I will hope to get you back in the future so we can discuss it then. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Tingson. You are so modest. I know you know everything, but I just share you from a China perspective. Thank you again. Well, hope to see you again in any countries, and welcome you to Beijing.
Oh, yeah, look forward to it. Thanks. I'll
Oh,
probably see you in September anyway. So, cheers.
yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.